Hello and welcome to the Weather Studio Live. It's Tuesday, it's 1 p.m. There's only one thing you should be doing right now, and what's that?
Watching the Weather Studio.
Watching the Weather Studio. I'm Clare Nazir.
And I'm Alex Deakin, and coming up in today's show, we've got all sorts for you. We've got some jellyfish to talk about. The biggie, though, the bank holiday weekend. Not a bank holiday everywhere, but for many places, it's the last bank holiday till Christmas. There's a depressing thought.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
But yes, it's a big weekend coming up, so we'll have a full forecast, including some discussion about the uncertainty. We've got one of the Deputy Chief Forecasters, meteorologist from upstairs, Laura Ellum. She's joining us later on to discuss the bank holiday weekend weather. We do have jellyfish, we have sea surface temperatures as well, and we'll be talking again about this race through the summer. Will it be the hottest summer on record? We'll be talking about the stats, and there's so many stats to talk about. But what else are we talking about, Claire?
Well, first of all, let's talk about something which is looking horrendous across India. It's the Kerala floods. It's been in the news for about a week or so now. Whole villages are swept away. At least 350 people have died. 800,000 people have been displaced by these really heavy rains. And so far, the cost of damage is up to around £2.5 billion. Is it going to continue? Well, to be honest, it doesn't look too bad. But the reason why we've seen so much rain in this small area, that's Kerala, which is the southwest of India, is because of the intensity of the southwest winds. Now, this is cumulative rainfall across the whole of the monsoon season. The monsoon kicks in around June time. It completes itself probably around now, September time. Some places are seeing deficient rainfall.
So yeah, just to describe this map, the green is around about average. So this is the whole map of India, it's broken down state by state. Green means about average for the monsoon this year. Red means less than average. Deficient, so we've been quite deficient across the northeast. And just a couple of pockets of blue.
There's not much.
But it's been incredible.
But the thing is that, yes, we do want the monsoon rain. It really helps during the dry season when temperatures really climb through, well, May, June time next year. However, this is pretty bad. I mean, people there have not seen this type of rain for generations. 300 to 500 millimetres of rain, equivalent to how much we see, say, in London over a year.
Yeah, in a year in London, you get 550 ballpark millimetres of rain. So in some parts of Kerala, in the past few weeks, they've seen as much rainfall as London sees in an entire year. And it's about 42% above average for Kerala, the monsoon rains. Obviously, it's a wet time of year. It's the monsoon. But it's almost half as much again during an incredibly wet time. And that's why we've seen the flooding.
So this map 3 weeks ago would have looked very different. And this area here would have been green. But now it's blue. Now, the monsoon trough, which brings the rain to much of India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, is across the foothills of the Himalayas now. That's how it progresses from the south up to the north around this time of year. However, what's been going on over the last week or so, we've seen a real intensity on these southwest winds coming up across the Arabian Sea, bringing with it lots of moisture, lots of rain, and it's been stuck in a pattern, hasn't it, Alex? And what that has meant is that the rain has really intensified and continued day in, day out across this zone here, and this is where Kerala is. Now, there are some changes afoot, aren't there?
Yeah, if we put the rainfall on for the next few days, you can see that Kerala here will see some patchy rain, but typical showers over the mountains, not a huge amount. The heaviest rain, the greens and the yellows, much further north, in the foothills of the Himalayas there. So that's where the heaviest rain is going to be. And it doesn't look anything unusual again for this part of the world. And the reason behind that, it is quite simple. The southwesterly winds, the southwesterly monsoons, which bring all the moisture from the sea, they've just lost their intensity across the southwest. They've been much stronger over recent weeks, bringing the rain, but thankfully respite for Kerala. Things will be improving here. The heaviest rain will be further north, so things at least improving a little bit in
Well,
Kerala.
the rain hasn't completed its cycle yet. We do have the southwest monsoon at the moment. That will ease, and then we have something called the northeast monsoon, which hopefully will bring some real needed rain to Bangladesh and those parts.
So those red bits we saw on the map earlier, we'll get some welcome rain.
And then come November, December time, well, it's a great time to head over to India because obviously it's drier. So I've been to Goa in November. It's a lovely time of year. Warm Arabian seas, lots of sunshine. Yeah, before the heat really intensifies next year again.
Jellyfish?
Well, we will be talking about that in a minute. Now, do we need the rain here in the UK? We've been talking about the lack of rain over the last few months and how high the temperatures have been, but it's the all-important bank holiday weekend coming up. And it's been a real story so far in terms of rain, sunshine.
This summer's been incredible. We've
It
talked about it a
hasn't been
lot
incredible,
on
yeah.
the Weather Studio. We've been talking about it over the past few weeks. And, well, you may have seen on Twitter, actually, on the Met Office Twitter feed, this graph showing the temperature comparison, a bit of a race, if you like, to see which will be the hottest summer on record. Now, we're comparing here 2018 to 2006. Now, we're talking mean summer temperature. So that's the temperature over the entire summer, both by day and by night. We're not comparing maximum temperature. The highest maximum temperature for a summer is 1976. Of course, everyone remembers that. But actually, the mean temperature, taking both day and night, is a much more accepted way of looking at the whole temperature. And for that, for the summer, which is June, July and August 2006, is the current record holder for summer. So if we go through comparing the 2 years, the first few weeks it was all pretty similar. Fast forward to the end of July, this is how it's tracked. So actually 2018 here in grey, it wasn't that especially hot initially, although it did then pick up through late June. Obviously we had the hot weather in July as well, but actually the peak of the heat in 2006 was also in July, and July 2006, the hottest month we've ever recorded in the UK, so it was the hottest July on record. And that's why at the end of July, 2006 was winning in this race to be the hottest.
Although the shape is very similar, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's
it
a dip and then a real
and
peak.
then that rise.
Just a matter of a week or so, really.
Yeah, and actually very different to the 76, which would be much higher up there because 76 was hotter in June. And then we go through the first couple of weeks of August, and it's all pretty level pegging again. But you'll notice 2018 is just a little bit ahead. And we are, 0.1 of a degree above at the moment, or this was taken up to August the 15th. Now, things can change. There's still 2 weeks to go, of course. And with the nights getting a bit colder, particularly at the weekend, as we'll talk about in a moment, well, that could have an impact. So again, we'll be keeping a very close eye on this. But just to show and compare and contrast other years, these, again, talking about mean summer temperatures, so not the maximum. These are the three highest that we have so far. So 2006, the hottest, when we had the hottest July on record. 2003, that big heat wave across Europe caused many deaths, and that was when we had the highest UK temperature on record at Faversham in Kent. Back in August 2003, but that's second in the list. And 76, in terms of mean summer temperature, is currently only third on the list. But as I said, it is highest for the maximum temperatures, just comparing maximum. So not comparing like with like, but 76 also famous for being the sunniest on record also. And at the moment, well, I won't reveal that in just yet, but this map goes to show the different years in different parts of the UK. So we're breaking it down now UK-wide. Sorry if you can't quite see the key properly. We'll put a link to it in the description. But basically, the different colours represent the different years for where that area had its hottest summer. So the purpley red, 2006, much of the Midlands, Northern England. 2006 is the purpley red, the hottest summer on record here. Interestingly, the pink, that's 2003. The hottest summer on record across northern Scotland, the Western Isles, down across much of East Anglia as well. The lilac-y colour, Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, 95 was actually your hottest summer on record. And interesting, 76, the browns, only quite patchy, but notice a significant patch there across the south.
That's interesting, though, isn't it? North Coast, Somerset and Devon, and some parts of Wales had their hottest year in 1911.
Yeah,
so that could all change.
That could all change. And if we now look at this map using the current temperatures, very exciting, big reveal. The dark blue colours is 2018. So on current statistics, so halfway through August, large swathes of the UK, 2018 will overtake as the hottest summer on record. As I said, this is only to date. Things can change. There's still a couple of weeks to go, but large parts of England, Wales, up to southern Scotland, and more eastern parts of Northern Ireland may well be experiencing their hottest.
I think the interesting thing about this summer,
in terms of mean temperature.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that, you know, when we've been forecasting through the summer months, it's been huge swathes of the country that have seen not only that strong sunshine, but the highest temperature. It hasn't just been focused in one area, and that's why this block colour stretches much of the country. So it'll be really interesting to see how that average UK temperature sort of pans out over the next week or so. More about that in a moment. In fact, we've had a message from Raymond Adamson who says, is there another heat wave coming? Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about the medium
Yeah.
range with Laura in just a moment as well. But certainly for the next few days, it's really warm and humid at the moment. Actually, temperatures in the high 20s in places today and across the southeast on Wednesday. But then we get a cold front coming through, turns things much fresher for the weekend, the bank holiday weekend for many. And we'll have a full discussion on that in a moment. But at the moment, there doesn't look to be any significant signs of the heat wave returning, certainly for the rest of summer, really, at the moment. Because there was talk about it last week. Aidan talked about it on the 10-day trend. It was all related to the jet stream. And we have had the warmer air this week, but we haven't seen those incredible temperatures because it's been predominantly cloudy as well. So we've had the humid air, but we haven't had those temperatures because we just haven't had the same amount of sunshine.
I mean, one thing I'll remember for this summer is that a lot of people have just been swimming in the sea where temperatures have been so warm, haven't they? Not only inland, but, you know, you'd be able to dip your toe in and go, actually, that's not too bad. It almost feels like Mediterranean heat. And if you notice in the news just in the last day or so, one very, very lucky lady who fell off a cruise liner in the Adriatic, this is the Adriatic here, and survived for 10 hours over open waters, 60 miles from land before she was picked up by rescuers. I think it was on the Monday or the Sunday, 9 o'clock in the morning. My goodness. In fact, a quote from the rescuers said, well, she was very, very lucky because if the temperature had been, say, 5 degrees, she would have survived 1 hour, 10 degrees, only 2 hours, 15 degrees, only 6 hours. But these temperatures here have been in excess of 20 degrees Celsius. Incredible. In fact, I was in Spain a few weeks ago and the sea felt like a bath. It really did. It was not only across the Mediterranean, Baltic also seeing some very high temperatures. And here are the temperatures across open waters, coastal waters of the UK. So numbers typically around 19 or 20 in the southwest, 17 or 18 along this eastern side. But numbers don't really mean anything. But this next chart may add a bit more value to what we're trying to explain here.
So what we're looking at here?
What we're looking at here is based on the average sea surface temperature for this time of year. These colours show where the temperatures have been higher than average. So here's our chart down here, it's our key. So the greys, the greens and the very yellows are around average. But as the colours intensify, that's where we're seeing some warmer seas. So look at this. These reds and pinks here represent temperatures 3 to 4 or 5 degrees above what we expect for that time of year, this time of year. And the eastern side of England as well, the North Sea, which actually was really cool during the first part of the summer. We saw all that low cloud, the clag, the har, the fret.
Beast from the east.
The beast from the east earlier on. So really it's caught up quite significantly because the sun has been so strong. So we're talking about heat wave across the UK, but also has affected open waters as well.
It's been lovely in Scarborough and Bridlington throughout the last few weeks, definitely.
Yes, it certainly
and
has.
And Pembrokeshire, I was in Pembrokeshire in the sea
Well,
last
there's
week.
a lovely photo of Alex on social media of him boogie boarding. And it's not just the UK. We'll show you more of that maybe next week. It's not just the UK. This is a map of the whole the ocean. So we're talking Pacific, Indian Ocean, and Atlantic
Ocean.
So
the UK's up here.
We're up there. There's
North
the
America.
Med. And look at this here. There's a huge area of very, very warm water extending from northeastern parts of the US, extending right across the mid-Atlantic, but sandwiched between, interestingly, colder waters towards Greenland and some cooler waters here. It's creating this look like a horseshoe type of shape. And this is perhaps, and some scientists have suggested, indicative of why we've seen such high pressure across us, which has moved from the Azores and pushed up towards the northwest of Europe, which could actually mean we could see some dry weather perhaps into autumn time. Again, it's for a later discussion. So yes, some very warm waters here, but look at this.
Yeah, a couple of things to
Caribbean.
other points. Around the Caribbean, temperatures around about or a little bit below average. Could be one of the reasons why we haven't seen that many hurricanes. This time last year, there would have been a big red pool there because temperatures were well above average. That's one of the reasons why we had such an intense hurricane
Japan
season.
as well.
And then across Japan as well, seas above average here. So we're seeing more typhoons potentially hitting them this week. And they've seen some incredible heavy rain.
And that record-breaking temperature of 41.3 degrees Celsius, where actually many people died because the heat was so intense.
So it just goes to show there's a lot can be gained. We tend to look up in the air as well. We're not oceanographers here, but obviously the impact of the sea, it is crucial to our weather right around the globe.
It's not only us that have perhaps enjoyed the warmer waters around our coast. Other beasts have too. So this is that's my husband, by the way, not him.
Imagine, if you will, being confronted by that monster on the beach. And then you realise he's also looking at a jellyfish.
Yes. Oh, bless him. So this is a jellyfish we found on the northwestern coast of Wales. And this is a blue jellyfish. And it's absolutely huge. That's why I've actually asked my husband to step in so you can see the scale. And now
Chris is about my height, isn't he?
He's
5'8"?
yeah,
He's about 5'8". So.
5'9".
Yeah.
So these jellyfish,
my heels.
one or two of these in the water, not so bad. But we've had many reports through the summer months of seeing these swarms of jellyfish across the coastal waters of the UK. So these here are called moon jellyfish, and in fact, when they swarm, it looks like the sea is pink. And they do sting a little bit as well.
I wouldn't fancy going into that.
No. And in fact, my daughter got stung in Spain as well. There was a few days across the Costa del Sol where we couldn't actually swim because there were huge swarms of jellyfish just pushing towards the shoreline there. Now, the jury seems to be out why these jellyfish congregate and move into sort of coastal waters, particularly when the temperatures are very high. Are they searching for cooler waters because they've been in warm waters, or the other way around, or they just drift with the current?
They just fancy a holiday.
They want a holiday. Obviously, Alex knows
I know
quite
a lot about jellyfish.
So I'm now going to test him on how much
jellyfish.
he
Is there a
knows.
quiz?
There's
Is there a quiz? I love a quiz.
There is
Let's have a jellyfish quiz.
Okay.
Play along at home.
Okay. Yes. Okay. First question. Oldest jellyfish ever recorded?
What? How old a jellyfish was?
Yeah.
How do you tell how old a jellyfish is? You cut it in half and count its rings.
Oh, that's horrible.
Is it?
Oh,
Is that horrible?
do
Sorry,
this at
don't
home,
do that.
kids.
I'm going
Okay.
to say jellyfish probably live for ages because
Yeah.
they're pretty basic structure, aren't they?
That's interesting,
I'm
yes.
going to say 25 years.
25 years. Alex Deacon. Okay. Well, there are suggestions that a certain type of jellyfish could actually be immortal.
What?
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Now, jellyfish have
This is
two
amazing.
phases to their life. They have the polyps phase, where they sort of attach to coral, and then they have the medusa phase, where they drift across the open waters.
love the
Now,
medusa
there's a certain type of jellyfish called the immortal jellyfish, which, when they are under stress, they regress back to the polyps, and they attach themselves again to the coral, so they start their life again. Oh, that's quite scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
It is
jellyfish.
really scary.
Are they carnivores or are they herbivores?
Oh, so I've seen that on
Yeah.
on the Blue Planet.
Yes.
They eat. Some of them eat fish.
And
so they're
each other.
carnivores. They eat each
They
other.
are beasts. They are beasts. Okay, so what do any sort of animals or fish eat the jellyfish themselves?
Oh, something has to, surely. Because when those big whales, they must get some by accident as well. when
Yeah,
they
the
do
bigger
that, when
fish
they-
do, bigger mammals in the water. Turtles love them.
Do they?
Yeah, the smaller ones, and also penguins. However, there has been an experiment in Japan where they've been trying to create salted caramel out of jellyfish, and that's not marine life, that's actually school kids. So
No thanks.
don't try that at
That's
home.
not- sounds interesting.
Do all jellies have tentacles?
Yes.
No, they don't. There's a certain type of jellyfish which is pretty much a massive blanket, and it's like death by blanket. It smothers its prey. Oh dear, it really
Wow.
is. Okay,
this is
what
incredible.
happens
It's like
if
being with David Attenborough. It really is.
what happens if a jellyfish is cut in two?
Oh, doesn't do that worm thing, does it? And make two new jellyfish.
It does. Yes, it can regenerate, and in fact, it can create clones of itself. Up to 100 or so offspring. So my final question, will jellies eventually take over the world or the oceans?
Will jellyfish take over the world? Yes. Well, after the dolphins.
Well, that's a big debate, and maybe we'll revisit that at some time.
Ooh, let's hope
There
so.
we go.
Let's
Well done,
hope so.
Alex.
Thank you. Thank you. Some questions coming in from Louis Bonner says, just tell us the weather for the bank holiday weekend. We're getting to it. We're getting
come
to
on.
it, Louis.
Don't you like this
and
bit?
I mean, everyone was loving the jellyfish. Wendy Dina asks, I'm getting married in East London on Saturday.
Whoa.
What's the weather going to be
We can
like?
ask Laura that.
We can ask Laura that
Yes.
as well. But congratulations, Wendy. Whatever the weather, you'll have a fantastic day.
Mm.
Don't worry about the weather. You'll just have an amazing day. That is true. So shall we have a look at the bank holiday
Yes.
weather? It's what people have been tuning in for. Let's start with situation at the moment. We've got a cold front approaching the next couple of days, so by Thursday it'll be sinking its way south. It'll bring a little bit of rain, but most importantly, it's going to shift the humid air. So these red colours here, that's the warm, humid air currently sitting over us, but over the next few days, that cold front will gradually start to push that away. And as we zoom in a little bit to the UK, you can just watch as the hot air moves away to the near continent, so fresher air is arriving. Low pressure dominating as we go into Friday, and these little weather fronts coming down. follow the isobars around the low. It's coming in from the northwest, so it's turning cooler through Friday, much fresher, much less humid. The nights won't be as hot and as humid, but also with this cooler air will come a lot of showers on Friday, and they could be quite heavy. But it's a mixture. There'll be sunshine and showers on Friday. Big question marks then surface about what happens through the rest of the weekend, and this little fella is to blame. Now, it doesn't look much, it just looks like a couple of really feeble weather fronts, and that's because at the moment that's kind of sort of all it is in the most likely scenario. But it is moving towards the UK, particularly southern parts of the UK, and it is, if we just take the temperatures off, but it is potentially going to bring some rain across parts of the south as we go into Saturday now. So you can see that there is the likelihood of some rain across the south on Saturday, at least for a time, but there is quite a bit of uncertainty about that. It's not really a deep area of low pressure at the moment. It's just a kind of wishy-washy set of weather fronts. And so there's some uncertainty about that. But let's move on, because that should scoot out of the way. And then now follow the isobars. They're pointing pretty much to the north. So if we just zoom out, our air is coming around this area of low pressure down from the north. So once that weather system's out of the way, it turns quite a lot colder. And again, if we put the temperatures back on, you can see the colder air, just a hint of blue there in the chart. And on Saturday night into Sunday morning, it could get cold enough for a touch of frost across northern Scotland. And as I talked about earlier, that could impact the overall temperatures as we go through the summer.
And if you're camping this weekend, it's worth taking extra layers, remembering that during the early hours of the morning, that's where we see the lowest temperatures, and it's going to be quite parky outside.
Sunday, little ridge of high pressure.
Nice.
So actually,
like
it's a chilly start. Most places dry and fine, but notice there's another area of low pressure. So we'll see some rain coming in from the west during Sunday, and that rain will then push across the country, it looks like, on Monday. But there is some uncertainty.
There are some
about
uncertainties, and this is when I think we should bring in Laura.
Yes, let's bring Laura
So
in.
this is Laura Elms. She's one of our deputy chief forecasters, and she works in the medium range part of forecasting. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thanks
very much for joining us. I know you're busy today because obviously bank holiday weather coming up. So what's your role within the forecasting unit?
So as you say, I'm medium range. I'm the UK deputy, so I'm looking, generally speaking, at the UK from, say, 2 days ahead to as far ahead as you want to ask, really. I mean, I can't have all the answers all the time, but generally speaking, we can talk next week, next month, maybe 3 months ahead.
Well, we'll ask you a bit about that in a moment, but first of all, Alex, you know, it's the all-important question, isn't it? We've had 2 really amazing bank holidays so far this year. What's going to happen?
It's not a bank holiday everywhere. It's not a bank holiday in Scotland, but of course people will still be in Scotland. But yes, we had 2 bank holidays in May, both of them blistering sunny. And actually, for us weather forecast, it was really straightforward because there was a big area of high pressure. It wasn't going anywhere, and the weather for once was very straightforward. 2 out of 3. We can't have another one. We can't have another one in August where the weather's straightforward. That would be too easy, wouldn't it? So, uncertainties about particularly that little set of weather fronts on Saturday.
Yes.
And why is that? We need to look further afield.
Yes, we do. We do indeed. Yeah, and weirdly, it's the start of the period that's most uncertain, which is not unusual. We're going to talk about that in a moment, I guess. But first of all, this low pressure here, there's severe weather associated with this. And when you get big severe convection in the US, it can go up, way up into the atmosphere. And that in itself, as much as the jet stream can help drive stuff at the surface, things at the surface, if they get high enough up, can have an influence on the jet stream as well. And we've got this branch here. We've also got this branch coming down up here of the jet stream, which is feeding from way in the Pacific. But it's this low here that may well have an influence as well as we go through the next few days. So as we run forward...
So this is today. So this is
today.
Today. There's a deep low in the United States. There's lows to the north. The jet stream is wiggling right across the United States. Let's fast forward and go through time and see how that could then impact things downstream, if you like.
Exactly.
So all these things coming together, interacting with the jet stream. Just the jet stream is that fast-moving ribbon of air high up in the atmosphere that drives low-pressure systems. But as you said, because this one is so deep, it itself can influence the jet stream. And so it buckles, and then out of this comes this little feature.
Yes, it looks innocuous, as you said, but where it ends up in relation to the jet stream will depend on exactly what happens to it afterwards. So there's a lot of things to get right. So small variances in where the surface low is, to start with, small differences in how the jet stream is influenced by these other things going on, will determine on exactly how all these gradients come together and whether that low ends up being like that or a much more developed
And
unseasonal system.
Some of the computer models, certainly in the past few days, have been developing that into quite an area of low pressure, potentially bringing some wet and windy weather.
Exactly. And what we watch for is whether this surface low underneath the jet stream moves to the cold side of the jet stream. That's a more favourable place for that low to then spin up much more vigorously. So that's
if it's a little bit further east, and in this is a trough, right, where the jet stream, that's a favourable place for it to develop, and it could turn into quite a deep area of low pressure. Equally, it could stay further south and not influence us at all, and actually will bring quite a bit of fine weather on Saturday if that happens.
The balance of probabilities is that it will stay on the warmer side and be less developed. But even so, it does look like it could, as you were saying, bring some rain. So your viewer, Wendy, I think it was, from East London, I wouldn't put the umbrellas to a side yet. I'd keep them handy, because even if we don't get that developed system, rain looks likely in the south. Just how much we're going to get, and also how windy it could be with it as well. Potentially a deeper system would be much more windy. And
then there's... This is the classic, much more obvious. You've got a little trough in the jet stream there, another area of low pressure, and that's a more straightforward Atlantic low for Sunday.
Exactly. So you see that's on the cold side, but the jet stream by this time is actually more straightforward. It's more a sort of one stream distinct thing, and the two together are in a good place to develop. And actually, the models are saying much more similar things to each other about this one.
That's interesting, isn't it? It's more confidence for the latter part of the weekend than the beginning of the weekend.
Still some timings to play for. Weather front coming, which you alluded to earlier, could be a bit slower, a bit quicker by 6 hours or so. But I think overall, as you say, Sunday looks better than Saturday, whichever way you slice it. And then the front coming in later Sunday and into Monday.
I've got a question, actually. It's from someone called Pugs Are Epic.
Oh, okay.
And they're asking, is there a high chance of thunderstorms this weekend?
This weekend, depends where they are. I think we're focusing all that rain in the south. Further north, it will stay fresher, breezier, showery. Potential for some thunderstorms, perhaps, in northern parts, not everywhere. And it will be just part of a typical showery setup. But I think if the risk is anywhere, it's northern parts Saturday.
And what sort of temperatures are we talking about by night on, say, Saturday night? Because that seems to be the key one where we're probably seeing the coolest air.
Yeah, so even some of the larger conurbations could see temperatures getting towards single figures. And then where you've got high upland glens in Scotland or sort of lowland valleys in parts of Wales, Northern Ireland, could see certainly getting towards a ground frost, if not pockets of air frost.
Oh, so we're talking sort of 10 to 15 degrees lower than what we're experiencing right now across many places.
Yeah, so
that's a real shock to the system.
It's going to be a big change.
It'll be welcome for some, though. I've had trouble getting my baby to sleep while it's been warm, so she'll appreciate it for sure.
So the things we know about this weekend, there's that uncertainty about Saturday. It's quite unusual. There's more uncertainty about Saturday than there is about the rest of the weekend. It will turn cooler and fresher with that risk of nighttime frost, particularly in Scotland on Saturday night. But it's not a write-off. Let's we're often accused, because we love the weather, we're often accused of focusing too much on weather fronts and rain. But actually, there will still be some sunshine around, especially across parts of the east on Sunday, it looks like at the moment. But it's still also a long way off, so stay tuned to the forecasts, keep up to date with the Met Office. Things could still change. As I said, there's a lot to play for with the jet stream, that pesky jet stream, that little area of low pressure. We will have the details over the next few days, so stay tuned to the forecast.
And our weekend forecast goes out tomorrow.
10-day trend goes out tomorrow.
10-day trend
Aidan will be doing the 10-day trend
Aidan, and then the weekend forecast, obviously, all important, and we update you 4 times a day with the forecast across the UK as well on our social media channels.
Right, let's let Laura get back to those jet streams and analysing stuff across the United States. Thank you very much, Laura. It's really interesting. Thank you very much for watching. Please do keep sending in your comments. Give us the thumbs up, give us the likes, and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel, then you never miss one of these. Subscribe to our sister channel, Learn About Weather as well. You can follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, on YouTube and Facebook as well. So please do follow us. And join us again next week. We shall see you then. Thank you very much for watching.